Just read an interesting quote from the book Seth Speaks, which is channeled material on Stephen Dean's Facebook page. And, Stephen has always been a very great teacher and inspiration of mine. And it just got me thinking a little bit. I mean, that was an awesome quote. We're certainly not going to go into it in this video. And I've held off for a long time, other than a little bit in broken Spanish, trying to talk about what are possibly my own past life memories. I'm very aware that can really open you up to like huge ridicule. So, yeah, I think, my ultimate starting point is that the ultimate reality, God, whatever you want to call it, is oneness. And anything that is not one is therefore not real. Any kind of sense of separation, any levels, it's not one, it's not really real. I know that's confusing to some people. So I've been interested, I was interested in a lot of topics like this, and I was always intrigued and the idea of an afterlife or a reincarnation that made a certain amount of sense to me. I remember the first time thinking about it was my friend Lorna, who when we were younger, she was slightly older than us by a few years. Used to go out with one of my good friends who unfortunately is no longer with us. And she turned out to be a really great mentor of mine. And when we first met, so she was from a different part of the country. And we met, and I was like, nah, she's not. I've seen it, there was a sense of like recognition. Like I really knew that person, which from memory was my first kind of experience of what you might call soul recognition, and I believe that to really be the case. Maybe like that with a few other people as well, actually, but that's one that sticks out. But yes, in regards to my twin flame, and this is pretty fucking out there stuff. I'm not asking you to believe it. I've got no reason to lie about it. It's just trying to communicate my experience, really. So when we met, probably like 9 years ago, very briefly, there really was the trick with a twin flame is actually you. So it's a little bit different, but it's an inescapable sense of just having known that person forever, like better than your mum or dad or anyone you know. Real, like, so very hard to describe, a soul recognition, which was mirrored on the other end as well, incidentally. But what happened in that couple of 3 hours, I had all these very strange experiences, really intense visions, and I kind of saw what was to happen. And we met again 7 years after that, under strange circumstances, on a flight back from Peru, actually. And everything in those visions that I saw then come to pass. Some of it is still to, which actually quite dramatically ended up with her getting married a year ago tomorrow. It will be, which I really knew was going to happen. I'd seen the whole thing played out. So for me, that's quite a hard experience to process. But what also happened is kind of like my consciousness went not only into the future but also past. And I saw this story play out of perhaps a previous lifetime together and how we'd known each other. So, this is all in the background for, 7 years, really, until we re-met and everything surfaces and you begin going through all the experiences again, as was, my twin. But I won't say how, but someone gave me a heads up. Quite a psychic person, quite close to me. Oh, I think she was, and this is crazy, I know, I'm not saying this is definitely true, but it's my experience, Teresa of Avila, who was a Christian mystic. So I'd been someone who'd spent a lot of time researching Eastern mystics and Sufi mystics and all of this kind of stuff, whereas my twin, a mirror image of me, was from a Christian background and was very into Christian mystics. So I began to read about the story of Teresa of Avila. In English we say Avila, but it's Avila. And St. John of the Cross, who's another famous mystic. And God damn it, apologies if anyone finds that blasphemous, but that is as near to hell as the story that I saw play out. I read in quite and reading the story was like, I know this already. He was actually imprisoned by the Spanish Inquisition for 9 months. Interesting, that's the length of time of a pregnancy. He wrote one of his most famous poems then. He devoted himself to spiritual practice. He was then miraculously able to escape, and Teresa of Avila then gave him sanctuary. Lots of other stuff happened there. This is just I'm not saying I was St. John or she was Teresa of Avila. And I mean, these are people that they are not people on my radar before finding out about this. I do kind of hate when people, talk about past lives and they're always someone famous. Maybe I just saw a story that was just playing out. I don't know. Maybe it's all imaginary. I'm not as attached to that as you might think. But researching their story, researching the poetry of St. John, I was led into studies of things like Course in Miracles and Platonism. And Platonism has had a huge influence on Christianity, which you wouldn't have been allowed to talk about at that time. And I am convinced that Teresa of Avila and St. John were what we now call twin flames. They were actually one soul and 2 bodies. And when you read the poetry of St. John, if you know about these experiences, that's what he's telling you. He didn't know that, but it's so much of it for me, and the experiences I had is absolutely uncanny. And I also have a hint that St. John, it's a known thing that he was influenced by 1 or 2 Neoplatonists, I think. But I think he was referencing books like Plato's Symposium, and he was putting this experience that he'd had into words. Because I'm about to run out of time, I would say with past lives, because of my view of the ultimate reality being oneness, if this lifetime is illusory, then all your other lifetimes are illusory. But yeah, it's strange. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, but I've come out and said that's the experience I had. I've chose to stop looking into it and focus on kind of more productive stuff at the moment. But yeah, any thoughts? I'd be interested to hear them.